Hi, welcome to the Politics of Weed. Hanging out here in the virus-free studios. Well, I don't know if it's totally virus-free, but I got the plastic behind me and I'm the only one here. I'm all by myself. I want to talk to you today about the law and consumption of weed products or marijuana products. Specifically about the law in Nevada. A lot of you may be coming to Las Vegas or coming to Reno to gamble, and you'll see the dispensaries everywhere. And you'll think, hey man, I'll go in there and I'll buy myself some weed. I haven't smoked weed in a long time. Maybe you're coming from a state that doesn't allow it. It's a good idea to know the laws on consumption. You may be a little upset at the end of this. Listen, if you're listening to this and maybe you're trying to listen and you're a little too faded, you go, what the hell did that dude just say? Go ahead and hit the rewind button. Should be right here on this side, I believe. Hit that rewind button, hit that stop button. You could always rewind and listen to listen again to what I'm telling you, because I'm going to be bringing you some very good information. Let's take a look at this consuming marijuana law. I'll go ahead and put this up and we'll read it together. I'm going to stop and look at certain parts to me that don't look right. To me, this seems like a backslide. When you legalize something and then you turn around, and we'll go ahead and read this. Let's go ahead and read this. Adults 21 years and older can legally consume marijuana, but with restrictions on where it can be consumed. You cannot use marijuana in any public place. That's fair enough. It's a little bit more harder to hide than alcohol. Alcohol you could just have in your bag. You know, you have your PBR in a brown paper bag and you're drinking it down and nobody smells it. But if you're puffing that joint or hitting that bowl, people 15, 20, 30 yards down the river are going to smell you. So it's a little bit harder to hide. People still do consume it in public places. Raise your hands if you have. See, I saw those hands go up. That's pretty good. So, fair enough, you can't use it in any public place. You can't use marijuana in a moving vehicle, even if you're the passenger. So they're probably thinking about contact high, but you can't have an open container either, right? That's fair enough. You're not allowed to have an open container, even if you're a passenger. But what about in a bus? What about in a party bus? There's no exception to this. There's nothing that says anything about a party bus. On a party bus, you're allowed to drink. Essentially, this means, now this is the one that bothers me here. This line right here, this next line. Even the way it's written bothers me. Seriously. Essentially, this means it can only be consumed on private property. And then in parentheses, at home, for example. And as long as the property owner has not prohibited it. What this means is if you have beef with your landlord, and in that contract there's something about a nuisance clause, maybe even use of drugs, they could still evict you for this. They could say that they never gave you permission to use. Also, this means that if you're smoking in a hotel or you're smoking you live in an apartment and you don't have specific written information or specific written permission by the property owner, you could be in trouble. I don't want to say you're breaking the law, but they could use this to throw you out. I feel this is a little backsliding. Here we have this legal product, but then they're basically telling you that the only place you can consume this is on private property. Now, I don't think alcohol's like that. They don't say you can't consume. You don't have to get permission from somebody if you live in an apartment. You don't have to get permission from somebody if you're renting a house from them to consume alcohol. As a matter of fact, it takes a little bit to throw somebody out who's throwing too many parties and being drunk in the damn front yard, flopping on the ground, man, like a fish. I know I've woken up in the front yard a couple of times, but I was younger then, so. Not that that excuses it, but it happened. All right, so we're going to take a look at this law a little bit. So what we see here already is we have a legal product in the sphere of where you're legally allowed to consume it, is pretty small. Basically private property that you yourself own, or that somebody in your family owns, or that at least they know you're getting high on it and they don't care. Be careful out there. The police could still give you a ticket for consumption. Welcome to the Politics of Weed. I'm Chris Allen. I've started this channel to bring you information about the marijuana industry. This will include politics and what the local and federal governments are doing. I'll look at state revenues and new happenings in the industry. I have a couple interviews lined up and even some roundtable discussions about issues concerning the marijuana industry. And I may even have a few stories from the bad old days when smoking a little bit of weed would send you to prison. This is not just a channel for people who smoke weed just because, or for people who use THC products for medical reasons. It's also for the people who just want to learn about this new old phenomena that seems to be sweeping the United States right now. If you find this subject to be as interesting with as many different facets as I do, or maybe you just want some information about legal marijuana, please share, subscribe, like, hit the bell.